This podcast is brought to you by Marcus Rodriguez. If you're looking to buy or sell your home in this competitive market and you're not too sure where to start, look no further than Merced's preferred realtor, Marcus Rodriguez. He'll make sure the process goes as easy as possible, and you can reach him at 209-554-1715. Visit his website, www.myagentmarcus.com, or email him, info@myagentmarcus.com. This episode is brought to you by Thore. If you're in the Central Valley area and you're looking to get a tattoo, look no further than this dude right here. He's a versatile artist that specializes in black and gray realism. He's located in Merced at the Merced Tattoo and Piercing Company, and if you'd like to get in contact with him, either stop by the shop or reach out to him on Instagram. His Instagram is @_Thore with 5 E's. Once again, that's @_Thore with 5 E's. This episode is brought to you by Be Junk Free Merced. Everybody has stuff that's taking up space, but not everybody has the time, energy, and equipment to do something about it. That's where Scott Livesay comes in. If you have stuff that's overtaking your garage, yard, that spare room, or even a storage unit, give Be Junk Free Merced a call. You can reach them at 209-233-1519, and they'll give you an estimate and get back to you as soon as they can. This episode is brought to you by Patriarch One. Patriarch One LLC is a website, email, domain management, and design company. They can create your website from startup, refresh your current website, and even deal with domain transferring. Not only do they build a website for you, but they partner and manage the entire domain for you. They offer promotional gear as well, like business cards, shirts, pens, and anything with your logo on them. If you want to get in contact with them, you can reach them at 408-728-8001. Visit their Instagram, patriarch1.llc, or email them, info@patriarch1.com. This podcast is brought to you by Duffy.murphy. Whether you need studio time, mixing and mastering services, or someone to clean up that podcast audio, he's your guy. And trust me, because he's my guy. You can reach him on Instagram @DuffyMurphy or email him duffy.murphy@yahoo.com. Thanks for tuning in to Real Talk and Whatnot. I'm your host, Mike Izzieli, and if you're new here, this is a podcast where I highlight the talented individuals that live within the Central Valley in California, as well as people in general who are passionate about what they do. Once again, I want to say thank you to our sponsors. We have a new one, Nathaniel Hines, and he owns Patriarch One, so shout out to him. Thank you for jumping on. And if you are out there and you're interested in becoming a sponsor, DM me or email me, mike@gmail.com, and we can get something working out. Now, once again, you guys, I want to remind you about reviews and downloads or whatever. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you're subscribed, commenting. If you're listening to this on Spotify, make sure you're downloading the websites and leaving a review. If you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, leave a review and download them. Basically, just stay engaged in the thing. If you want to reach out to me on Instagram, go ahead. I am slowly making my way through the DM, so if you've already reached out to me, got a lot going on, and I'm heading out the country, actually. I'm heading out the country to Costa Rica on Saturday. So really looking forward to that. But before I leave for that, I wanted to, talk to you guys about just this episode and get another episode out. I know it took a little time, a little longer than usual. It's been about 2 weeks since our last episode, but like I said in that last episode, what I want to do is bring you guys more quality content, and with that maybe means not making it a podcast a week, but maybe 3 podcasts a month. So kind of give me 10 days to edit episodes. That way it's not 30-40 hours in 1 week. It's 30-40 hours spread out between 10 days. So I want to say thank you guys for being patient with me, and I truly appreciate it. Jumping into today's episode, today I'm joined by a dude named Josh Rogina. Josh is a really cool dude, and I've actually known him most of my life. We grew up together at CPC, the church. Then we played water polo against each other in high school, and we've always kind of just seen each other in the area. Josh owns and operates multiple dispensaries in the Central Valley area. In Merced, he owns and operates Burners Merced. He's also a part of an investing group called Infinity Assets, and he's just a really cool dude, and he's all about the Central Valley area. When we got on the show, we started talking, and I just started, asking him questions about him, like what I normally do, and then he kind of flattered me, and he kind of stopped me, and he said, "Hey, I just want to say, I love what you're doing. I love the what you're doing with the culture and trying to bring awareness to the Central Valley." And I was just a really good compliment, and I was like, "Oh, thank you, man." And then what he said, it just blew my mind, just because he was like, before I came on the show, I kept thinking, how am I going to bring value to your listeners? How am I going to bring value to your listeners? And what he said was that growing up, all you hear in the Valley is oh, there's nothing to do. But me and him are both prove that growing up in the Valley, there was always something to do. And so what he did is he just brought up all the gems that can be found around the Central Valley area. This one was specifically around Merced, but if you're anywhere from Fresno to Modesto, all these places are accessible to you. We talked about like places really close to Merced. We talked about all the swimming holes. We talked about so many fun, different things that you can do, and just how the Central Valley gets a bad rep, and it doesn't deserve it. You know what I mean? The Valley kids, man, Valley kids got to stick together. And Valley kids, whether you like it or not, dude, we all have similarities, and that's the thing I love about a Valley. Whether you live in Bakersfield, whether you live in Fresno, whether you live in Merced, Modesto, Stockton, Sacramento, Yuba City, there's something that's similar about all of them, is that we all had similar childhoods, and the fact that, you know, we're packing in a car and we're driving to a swimming hole, we're caravanning over there, we're having a great time, you know what I mean? And it's just it's a great place to grow up, and I truly, truly love it, and I'm glad that he came on the show, and he kind of spoke to this and shed light on how he was raised and the things that, you know, he's like, there's tons to do in this area. And I couldn't agree more. I could not agree more, you guys. And then at the end of it, we start talking about crypto, and it was a great conversation. I truly, truly enjoyed it. We had Duffy in the house. Duffy was on looking up stuff. He was being our Jamie, like Joe Rogan. Like, he was just being our Jamie looking up stuff. So, you know, the show is evolving. The show is developing, and I am just so happy about it. But I'm going to stop talking, you guys, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Josh Rogina.
This is it. Real talk. Whatnot.
Real talk. That's it. Real talk. Real talk. Real talk.
So why don't you introduce yourself for people who may not know who you are?
My name is Josh Rogina. I'm a Merced local resident, born and raised. 29 years old, been here my entire life. I've actually known you.
Yeah.
For my entire life.
Pretty much, yeah. So CPC, is that where we met?
CPC, we were involved in youth groups, sports, water polo.
Oh, water polo. We always played against each other.
Always, yeah. So I was at Golden
Gold
Valley.
Valley, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Who else was on that team with you? I'm trying to, dude.
We had a squad.
Yeah, I can't even remember who was on my team, honestly.
Adrian Opinski,
Taylor
Rocha,
dude.
Case Beifeisen.
Dude, we were
just to name a few cops in town.
Yeah. That's hella true.
Yeah.
We were talking about, Age was supposed to play softball with us, and then he's on the force, so he's like always busy or always working. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But somebody. This kid named Dakota, he was just like, oh, is Johnny, he's like, is Johnny Sins coming or whatever? And I was just hella laughing, because ever since he shaved his head, I was just like,
yeah,
he looks identical.
No, it's a funny look.
No,
and perfect guy to play the role.
Yeah, seriously. So what do you do as work?
So I'm in the cannabis industry. Mm-hmm. I own and operate dispensaries. Main business model, I would say, though, is real estate. Mm-hmm. Investing, going after real estate entitlements, which enable a business to operate cannabis, whether that be cultivation, distribution, manufacturing, or retail. It's a conditional use permit that is issued at a city level. Although the state has legalized cannabis, it requires a local government to basically either pass or adopt a city ordinance that...
And is that kind of, real quick, is that kind of why the, like, okay, legalization in California, or legalization of marijuana in California happened, but it doesn't come into your town or city for X amount of time because your local government has to pass some type of laws and things?
Exactly. The state of California said, well, we should give, the majority in any which jurisdiction the right to either say yay or nay to cannabis businesses in their backyard, rather than just having the state open up a blanket and say you can go ahead and free range. So very structured in terms of politics and local governments, and that,
and so
is quite messy.
Yeah, and so what year did you kind of start getting involved with the cannabis industry?
Well, I graduated Fresno State 2016, ag business major.
Oh,
so
okay, gotcha.
Studying agriculture, and post-grad worked for Central California tomato growers. We were growing, packing, shipping fresh market tomatoes.
Okay.
And I knew cannabis was going to be a business opportunity that hadn't really hit home yet, and started identifying properties that because you can't just say, you know, where the real estate demand comes in is the city's going to say, you know, mixed use, commercial, industrial.
Yeah, and that's what I was.
That's where you can open them. So you've got a finite supply of real estate available in any given town.
Yeah.
So it makes the real estate very in demand. And so I got into the cannabis industry through the real estate, knowing, you know, without knowing anything about cannabis, I knew what I could do was start identifying properties, have a bunch of, you know, groundwork, legwork done, owners committed to allowing it. So when I started attending the city council meetings in Merced, it made it very easy for me to partner with a group of operators who were already going to apply here anyway. But
and what do the operators do?
So we are running everything from forward planning and licensing to the real estate, and then business management. So from inventory, payroll, employees, you know, what brands are we bringing on?
Just everything, pretty much.
Everything that entails the business we run. So,
there's a lot more to. I mean, it's more to it than like, you know, wanting to open up a business that's something that's not cannabis. You know what I mean? That's more. That's like if you're going to go sell clothes or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you have to be more invested in the real estate portion of cannabis, right? For those type of businesses.
Yeah, what makes it hard is let's say you identify property. Take Fresno, for example. We just applied in Fresno in 2020, December of 2020. And we've been carrying this property since December 2020 to date, and we haven't even opened yet.
Yeah.
And that's because A, we didn't know if we were going to win. It's a competitive application process. And then B, you know, the city moves at the pace of a snail.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's something we know going into the deal. So what we like to do is try to make business partnership out of the property owner. And so for me, I mean, I'm not carrying rent. I'm just going to absorb the owner into the business. If we win, you know, then rather than carrying the
that
cost
makes sense
of, you know, renting it or buying it. Because if you don't win, then you just wasted time, money, and effort.
Yeah. Oh, so you bring the owner of the place into of the land, pretty much.
That's what I've been doing.
No, that's smart though, because
I'm trying to piece together aspects of the business that would require a lot of funding to get done. And one way I've found success is in, you know, partnerships and negotiating. You know, not necessarily having all the money in the bank to pull the trigger and buy the property, but facilitating a way to win a license without committing, you know, well, I'll buy the property contingent on we win, but, you know, if we don't, then I'm going to walk. Right?
Yeah.
But if we win, you know, I'll buy
then what we're going to get, then
you can be a partner.
Yeah.
Whatever the structure of the deal is going to be, it has to be, you know, something that's a win-win. But, so it wasn't until a year later, December of 21, you know, we get a letter that we won in Fresno, and there were 180 businesses that applied.
Really? And are they all applying for
retail?
So other things?
That's just cannabis retail.
Oh, just cannabis. Really?
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. So.
And what makes a city want to open up, you know, yours compared to others? I mean,
it's going to be merit, you know, so you're going to have just like, it's similar to a construction company submitting a bid for a project.
Sense. Okay, that makes a lot of sense, yeah.
But in this instance, it's not about what it's going to cost us. It's like, on paper, how long have you been running dispensaries? Do you have the track record? And I've been fortunate to, partner with a group that has a track record.
Mm-hmm.
And then where I've added value to the business has been forward planning, additional cities that come online, and helping, and raise funds and then manage operations throughout all of the locations. So we've got a few coming online this year, Fresno being next. Second would be Concord, and third would be Alameda.
Mm-hmm.
Those are all in California.
And is that with?
So the group, we're Infinity Assets.
Uh-huh.
For those who are in Merced, we originally opened this dispensary on Main Street as an Infinity. Infinity is the license holder. And then we merged with Cookies. So we're a partner with Cookies.
So were you guys actually open before?
Yes.
You were open before as Infinity?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. And when did that location open?
Black Friday of 2019.
Black Friday of 2019.
Yeah.
Really?
So right before COVID.
Yeah, exactly. And so how was COVID? Because I feel like, a lot of things struggled during COVID, but I feel like, and that might not be true with the weed industry.
The cannabis industry exploded during COVID. And I think a lot of it was, forced growth. Essentially, you had most businesses closed and cannabis open. On the flip side of that coin, though, this is medicine.
Mm-hmm.
You can't, if we shut down today, there will be people tomorrow who will not have access to their pain medication, whatever, may keep them asleep at night. We've got, veterans with PTSD. And so it is a medicinal business. And that's why dispensaries stayed open during COVID, was because, people with epilepsy or you name it. I mean, there are a number of, treatments that the plant provides. So that was a huge reason as to why cannabis did fairly decent during COVID. But then you also had the bars were closed and you could go buy weed.
Yeah. And you got to fill up your time when you're sitting at home doing nothing.
And absolutely
you know what I mean?
Nothing at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything's closed. You can't go anywhere. So you're just trying to figure out, I guess I'll just go get high for a little while and chill at home, especially for like the however many millions of people were laid off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, it was
I was
tragic.
right there with them,
Yeah, and even, COVID was difficult for everybody.
Yeah, and for various amounts of reasons.
Whether your business was open, there was still so much, we had to go with. You had the illness would go through the store and all your employees would be sick, or, it was very, very hard. I mean, at times we were bringing in people from other towns and, Merced employees would be working in Hayward. We would have to fill these gaps. And it was so hard. And at one point, it kept changing. If you were exposed, it was 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And all this stuff. And if you didn't have it, but you weren't vaccinated, you still couldn't. It was like very, very
so many
inconsistent.
holes and loopholes and things that, contradictory things going back and forth. And this date we're good without masks, that date we're not. You just don't, you never, it's still, and it's still like, we just, again, got out of a mask mandate. And I was just like, I mean, come on, people.
Yeah, no comment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't look like too political on this show, let me tell you.
Yeah.
But so...
Oh, I can go off on a tangent.
He's like, I'll give you some good content, man. I was kidding. Burners, or your... So is it your company that gives out, like, benefits and things like that?
Yeah, so full-time employees.
Yeah, it's a little different than other dispensaries, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so I want to talk about that.
We're, to my knowledge, one, if not the only cannabis retail business at the store level offers full benefits, 401k, dental, vision, paid time community service work, and, we take a big position in community benefit work as well. I wanted to touch base on, we help provide Simple Equalization here in Merced, which is an at-youth risk facility in town.
Where's it at?
Kelly Turner is the director. I don't know the exact address off the top of my head, but I was fortunate enough to help, facilitate the construction of a food truck. We donated a food truck to the charity, and it's actually at-risk youth working in it, the truck. And it's Simple Soul.
I've had it before. It goes to Blaker, doesn't it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I've definitely had it.
Yeah, so put that out, and
That's cool.
Currently working on a mural on Main Street that will be about
Where's that one?
150 feet long by 30 feet tall.
Where's that one going to be at?
It'll be on the side of the
on
building.
Cookies?
Yeah, on the side.
Is there
of
anything
Cookies.
there right now?
Nope.
No. Okay. There's a couple murals kind of now.
There are, yeah, and it's an interesting because I didn't know this, but they actually paint the mural in a studio and then truck it down and then reapply it to the wall.
Really?
Yeah.
That's wild.
So it's going to be 3D, and so there's a lot of time. Yeah, it's taken about a year and a half to paint.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's big.
And then it's going to come up here, and it's almost more like, so it gets paint there, and is that actual thing that they painted going up on the wall?
Yeah.
And it's like somehow doing it almost like a billboard-ish.
Well, so it'd be like if they produce 80% of the base of the painting on a material that they can roll, a canvas that they apply to a wall that they plaster, so you've got the smooth back, and then they come back and do the fine-tuning 20% detail once it's applied to the wall. But we do these mural projects in all the cities that we're opening up in, so Fresno, Hayward, all these. It's kind of like not necessarily a stamp, but it's something that we bring in when we come here. And it's nice
it helps cities in the sense of like you kind of want to add like a vibe or a culture to your city too.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And that's what's kind of cool about like downtown Merced and everything right now, because like you compare downtown now to like downtown 5 years ago, it's like not the same place. You know what I mean?
No.
And so was it kind of like, did you guys strategically plan to like go on Main Street as well? You know what I mean? Like be in the heart of downtown, basically.
Yeah. Typically when seeking the locations, we're trying to find, that downtown vibe, the foot traffic, the whatever. We're, down by the hotel, the amenities, things like that. Anything, what they say, location.
Yeah.
And that's true with just about anything. But one of the things that I wanted to do while being here, and I must say, I have been watching your podcast, and I'm very impressed, and I am honored to be on your podcast.
Hey, man, I really appreciate that.
Hey, I feel like, you're going big places, and you're a superstar here in town. And
hey, I really appreciate that.
So what I wanted to do, though, while I was on your podcast was try to add some value to your listeners. And what I wanted to talk about today was all of the hidden gems that are in Merced.
Yes.
And not just Merced, but Merced County. And I know, growing up here, all you ever heard was there's nothing to do.
There's nothing to do. Let me find home. One of my questions for you is like, I have heard a shit ton of people saying there's nothing to do in the valley because but there's actually is a shit ton to do in the valley.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I just don't get like why everyone's on this. It's just that you hear other people say it, and then it's easier to talk shit about something than it is to like compliment something, I feel like.
Yeah, I one thing I absolutely dislike is if you want to complain about it, do something, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's always action for me. Like, take action. If you're trying to have fun, there's stuff to do. If you're trying to work hard, there's opportunities as well. But I think that we're in a very unique, geographically placed, township, and that we've got the beach, an hour and a half, to the west, and then I think the mountains provide much more. In my opinion, the summertime, I'd much rather go to Rainbow Pools.
Yeah.
Up in Tuolumne, or Diana Falls and Green Hill.
Octagon,
Mariposa.
Yeah.
I love floating the river.
Have you been to God's Bath yet?
God's Bath.
Yeah, dude. There's so many swimming holes in the area, so many, and there's so many that I haven't been to, but I've seen as well.
Yeah, not only it's not only cool to go to the swimming holes, but I almost feel like it's a journey to get there.
Yeah, it is.
Because on your way to Rainbow Pools, you have to cross Groveland, where you've got the Iron Door Saloon. And the Iron Door Saloon is actually the oldest bar in California. The oldest.
I don't think I've been there, man.
Oh, you got to go.
No, I got to go.
Yeah, no, big steel Iron Door.
That's why I had you on the podcast, man. No, I
gotta go. It's a classic dive bar. They got the bills on the ceiling and all that. But the history in the walls, and that you can go sit at a bar that's 150 years old.
So it was open in 1850-ish or something like that?
And then you come down the road another 30 miles, you hit the LaGrange Saloon. The LaGrange Saloon was established in 1887.
Really?
Yeah. So over 100 years old as well. So you've got two historic bars. Either on your way up or on your way down from the swimming hole. And that's a full day.
Yeah.
I'll spend a full day.
And I think there's something about I don't know, I don't a lot of, let's say you're born and raised in San Francisco, you're not going on a trip to places where I feel like in the valley, it's a very valley thing. I remember high school and then as soon as you graduate high school, just going places with your friends. And it's always we're bringing 2-3 cars with us. You're packing up, you're bringing snacks, you're doing everything. And then you're going to one of these swimming holes. You're going to, it's just a full day where I feel like if you grew up in other areas, you don't leave too much because, I don't know, I mean, you leave, but you don't leave we have so many options, basically. We can go 2 hours to the beach, 2 hours to the mountains, 2 hours to Yosemite National Park, 2 hours to literally anywhere, you know what I mean? Or any type of mountain or range and stuff like that. And I feel like a lot of other people, if they live at a beach, maybe, I mean, it'd be awesome to live at a beach, whatever, but if you live at a beach, it's you're not as inclined to leave, you know what I mean? And I like the idea of leaving and coming home. And that's why I ended up starting this podcast, because like we were talking about, you just hear people talk shit about the area, say it's bad. And I fall victim to that in high school and things, but now it's no, you make it. If you're not having a good time, it's you making it yourself not have a good time, because COVID kind of taught me that hey, we have everything a big city could have. You know what I mean? And we're only growing. We have a UC that's young, you know, and we have so much potential, and everyone's sitting here it's the same place it was 25 years ago. No, it's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I want to give a big shout out to the people that, keep their head down and hustle hard. I mean, you just had a buddy of yours, Marcus, get nominated for 30 under 30.
Dude,
and I just want to say, major props and there you want to recognize the people in our town who are not only doing, great things, but are our age. I think those are the people who are going to maintain Merced's, everything we actually stand for.
No, exactly.
And so huge kudos to everybody you've ever had on your podcast.
Yeah.
They're all.
And that's the thing. There's so many people saying that there's no one talented or there's just it had such a bad rep for a long time that it's I felt like somebody needed to show people hey,
no, for sure.
it's actually not as bad as you guys are fucking making it. You know what I mean? Seriously, it's just and so it kind of was because I lived in Turlock for 2.5, 3 years. And there's something about I was born and raised in Merced, so I'm just drawn to it. But there's something about Merced and the downtown has a lot more character than I love all the other Central Valley towns, but Merced's architecture downtown is a lot different than other people's. I love Oakdale's really old fashioned downtown and stuff like that. You know what I mean? But being raised from here, when I came back to it and then COVID pretty much hit, I was I don't know. I was put in the situation to where I was I always wanted to do a podcast, but I thought it was going to be about hiking or something like that. And then after doing 5-6 episodes, it was just what kind of stuck out was that the community that we have here, and how fact that I like the fact that I go downtown and I see somebody, you know what I mean? I like the fact that it's a big city. It's growing, but yeah, it's still the small town vibe.
Right. Yeah, no, I'm 100% in agreement with you. And, to speak on Merced's architecture, I bet most people wouldn't know that there's a tunnel system under Main Street.
I did not know that there's a tunnel system under Main Street. I mean, I figured with the sewers and everything, but I didn't know if it was like a...
No, Prohibition era.
Really?
Tunnels, yeah.
Dude, okay, well, did you know this? You know Gabe's Bar? Mm-hmm. So I just went in there for the first time. I was filming for the Sisters of the Valley, and they were having like this Netherlands film crew follow them. And we ended up going to Gabe's because he was going to let us film in there. And I had never been to Gabe's prior to that. And Adolfo, who runs it, it's a real cool dude. And he was telling me a story about the bar. Have you heard the story about the bar that's in there? Mm-mm. So the bar was built in the 1800s, the bar was built in the 1800s in England. It was shipped to San Francisco because somebody bought it in Bakersfield, California. And it was like on horse carriage times. So this bar was being transferred from San Francisco on its way to Bakersfield, and the wagon broke down in Merced. The guy was like, well, I'm just going to sell it to somebody here. And it's been that's in Gabe's since then. It's the front of the bar back, and then it used to be an ice box, but they transitioned it into a fridge.
Gabe's is right there next to Strawberry.
Yeah, exactly, right there.
Yep. That bar?
That bar right there.
Awesome.
And he still has the original cash register from the 1800s.
Yeah, so to touch on the
So
tunnels,
he probably was involved with that, you know what I mean?
Just because I don't know if you'll be able to fact check me here, but
Hey, that's exactly it.
I've actually been at the tunnel entrance, and you know Alex Trevino?
Yeah,
Shout out to Trevino's Mexican
yeah,
restaurant on Main Street. The Sir Alex burrito.
Uh-huh.
You got to get it out. But anyway, there is a tunnel entrance in the basement of the restaurant.
Shut the fuck up. Are you serious?
Yep.
That's so sick.
Yep. And the city actually, they put up brick. They blocked it off from the public, but the tunnels actually go. So if you're underneath Trevino's restaurant, the tunnels go across and under to the theater, and they stretch all the way down. Every building connects. On Main, just about.
And so that was built in the 1930s then? 20s?
I mean, I know when my dad was in high school, that was like a Chinatown area, and they had a lot of underground activity going on.
Dude, you're blowing my fucking mind right now, dude.
No, I'm dead serious.
That's sick.
Yeah.
Try to find anything about tunnels in Merced. See? Oh, nothing's coming out?
Yeah,
no,
they're gonna...
you'd have to find like city development from like that time or something.
No,
you
you can ask. I mean, and even when we were building out Berners Merced, I was fascinated with it, and I would always ask the city planners and those doing the inspections who come out, hey, have you ever been in the tunnels? And I heard stories that they go all the way to the fairgrounds. I've also heard that they go all the way to Bear Creek, and that there's another tunnel system that goes from the White House. The White House.
Oh, right there on M Street and M Street. What's it called? Bear Creek Inn.
Yeah, Bear Creek Inn. There's another tunnel system.
I bet you there is.
And it's very common though.
In cities, right?
In cities. In Modesto, you have an underground tunnel system. In Fresno, you have underground tunnels, and they did that in the Prohibition era. They had, speakeasies and all the good stuff going on.
That's
underground.
That's sick.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
It is very cool.
Hey.
Yeah.
These are still look cool. Also, Duffy's in the house, you guys. This is the first time we've had somebody be able to look up stuff. And honestly, I was like, man, what's going on over there? I was like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be able to look
to make sure I wasn't, he wasn't.
No,
finding
but that was the same exact
false.
You're like, oh man, I didn't know there was somebody gonna be fact checking me here.
Yeah. No, I'm serious though.
No, dude, that's sick. But because you pulled up the cash register,
even we were discussing rainbow pools earlier, and there used to be a restaurant bar that was actually on the top of the main jumping rock, but during the big fire, it burnt down.
Really?
And if you bring goggles.
I saw people with scuba gear there before.
Okay, so there's a 1968 VW slug bug
At the bottom?
underwater at the bottom.
How deep is Rainbow?
30 feet.
Yeah, something like that.
30, something like that. The one that's really deep is Diana Falls,
Dude.
because that's a mine shaft.
Is that really?
Yeah.
Dude,
And
I did not know that.
you could park at Diana Falls, and if you walk to the swimming hole one direction, you get to that mine shaft. If you walk in the opposite direction, you'll come across all the mines. And there's a bunch of caves.
So let's say you're going to Diana Falls, you're walking in, you first start seeing, you're walking in the trail, you finally see the river, there's that one swim spot on the left where you can kind of jump off stuff. And then you have to keep going straight and then right to go to the...
This is so if you park your car on the asphalt.
We went there. The mine, the cave, the big-ass cave that has all the...
Yeah.
Has a fence all around it?
Yep.
Okay, yeah. So we have been to that.
Have you ever done Indian Gulch Road?
Okay, that sounds super familiar. Look up Indian Gulch Road. No, I have done... That's... It connects right here in Merced. Right, doesn't it connect?
You take South Bear Creek
all the way down.
All the way down.
Yeah, I used to ride my bike there. And
there's a gate.
Yeah, and you keep going into it, right?
Yeah, it's a public road.
Yeah, exactly. And like the farmers will try to tell you, like, hey,
yeah, nah, but you tell them you know your history.
Yeah, and
this used to be 140.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. And because my buddy Errol took me there one time. He was like, hey, I found this thing. And in the springtime, it's really beautiful because the water's running, everything's green, and you're like, how the fuck am I in Merced still? You know what I mean? And it's really cool because you can go down it, and all you have to do, it's a cattle road. So basically, you have to open up a gate, and then you close it behind you because that's what, and so that no cows can get out. But there's like, we did it because we had never gone all the way through. We had only gone from that area. And then one day we're like, let's start at the other end of it and go. And then we went until we got to halfway to where we could see like, oh, that's where we've been.
Yeah, it's funny because my buddies and I, when we were younger and it would rain 3 inches, the first thing we would do is, go get some beer and cruise Indian Gulch Road because it was just a blast. I mean, and, we get in confrontations with the cowboys out there.
Yeah.
Who would claim that's their own property, but it's not.
Yeah, but they have the property on the side of it, right?
They do.
Yeah. But the road is like legal; anybody can go on it.
So when you're on there, there's 2 locations within Indian Gulch Road that I wanted to talk about.
Okay, let's go.
The first one is very hard to see, but once you start really climbing into the foothills, you'll notice on the right side, there's a high mountain peak and there's a giant cross on the top of the mountain.
I think I've seen that. No, I have. Yeah.
And shout out my buddy Trent Dover, but we used to
Trent.
climb.
Hey, shout out Trent.
Shout out Trent. We would climb up there, and it's seriously one of the coolest places around. You see Cathy's Valley to your back, and then, Merced County to your front. And up there, you had all the Indian, bowls where they would grind grain and
was like built into the rock.
That's
so sick.
At a peak where you can see a full 360 view.
It's base camp. You know what I mean?
So you get up there and you're like, wow, this is very, I feel in tune with what they were seeing.
And why they would choose this location and like why,
So that's an amazing lookout spot, and I know everybody talks about the top of the world.
Which one's? Oh, that's the thing you could drive to, right?
The top of the world is up there, on the McClure,
way. Yeah, okay, exactly.
Out there.
I'm trying to think now, dude. Oh man, I'm trying to think about all the places I like to go to.
And so let's say, okay, I'm done with the cross. I'm gonna get back down to the vehicle and keep going. About 2 miles up the road, you come across the original ECV cemetery from the 1800s where there was a Portuguese settlement out there. And it's just crazy to see it literally in the middle of nowhere. And
that's where we parked on the other side. We parked at the cemetery, went through that, and then we went that way. But yeah, that cemetery, and it's like I don't know, like 20 by, it's not big. It's like 15 maybe people or buried there, and so it's really crazy to see. And so, do you know what the Portuguese settlement did or anything?
I don't know what they did.
It's okay. That's why Duffy's here.
They do have a plaque or a memorial up there that really gets into detail about what they were doing up there.
There we go.
There we go. Yeah.
Here, I'll read it. Indian Gulch, established 1849. Indian Gulch was one of the earliest settlements in the Mariposa County, located near Santa Cruz Mountain. It was originally called Santa Cruz. Really? The town adapted the new name when the post office opened, as another Santa Cruz already existed. James Morton was the first postmaster. During its heyday, Indian Gulch had several hundred residents. The Catholic Church, schools, hotels, and saloons. Florist J.G.J. Murray, a Frenchman, opened the first mercantile store, the French Company. The later notorious Joaquin Moreto was employed here. Another prominent merchant, Antonio, later moved to San Francisco. And he became the first president of the Bank of Italy, now the Bank of America. What the fuck?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, no,
that's wild.
Major history.
Yeah. Andrew Cathy settled here in 1852 before starting the farming community of Cathy's Valley. The last descendant of pioneer family, Angie Solar, died in 1980, or Solari. Dedicated by Matuka Chapter 1849, East Campus. Oh, I was like, East Campus?
So,
man, that's wild, though.
Yeah. That's where they get all that, their motivation from.
Dude, that's crazy.
But so you keep taking this, and then you get to Hornitos Road, and then so you branch out to Hornitos.
Have you seen a little short film that me and my buddy Jimmy did?
Yeah,
and because that's all taking place in Hornitos, and Hornitos is so cool. It's one of what Gardella used to be there, right?
Yeah. So you're talking about a full loop now.
Yeah.
That you can do. That's, in my opinion, it'd be cool to call it, some type of trail, like the Oregon Trail.
Yeah.
But this is our trail.
Central Valley Trail, man, or something like that.
You make the whole loop, right? So you cut through Indian Gulch, you hit Hornitos, you come back down, you're in Snelling. You can, you make it to LaGrange, or you come back down. I'd stop at Bud's Place on the way back. Shout out. They got really good, drinks and cold beer. But amazing to be able to check all that stuff out.
Yeah, no, it is.
In a quick loop,
And all this stuff like that we're talking about is 30-minute max from Merced.
Exactly.
Like 30-minute max. Like everything that we've been talking about in the past 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Maybe not that long, but you know what I mean? Everything is so close. And I'm really glad that you came on and started talking about this, because it's like things that I've known about, but for some reason I haven't thought about bringing it up or anything like that either. And while we're on that topic, La Paloma on the other side, pretty much of Merced as you're going towards Snelling. Right there, there's another cattle road. And where does that connect?
That also goes to Hornitos.
Does that go to Hornitos?
Yeah. Can I get another beer?
Yeah, I got you.
Thank you. And there's a bar in Hornitos as well. Have you been to the bar?
I haven't been to the bar. Honestly, I haven't been to that many of the bars.
No, dude, you got to stop at all the bars because that's where you're like, oh shit, I'm really in it. Because I don't know about you, but
I've done Jamestown bars and a couple other ones, but I don't know. I haven't really been to the smaller ones, and I think it's just I
don't know. There's something cool about sitting down somewhere where you're like, oh shit, I'm like the 10,000th dude to sit right here. Over somebody else was the course of 120 years.
Yeah.
What in the hell could have gone down in
here?
These walls?
120
years ago. So I like to see myself, envision myself now, and then look in the past, what were people doing here?
Yeah.
And, it's cool to imagine them kind of doing the same thing we are now.
Yeah, except they had a horse and buggy, or you know what I mean? It just was a different time.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you're maybe you're off of work or off a big day, and then you're ending it with a beer or whatever. And it's kind of cool to think about. It is really cool to think about that. And more I've been thinking about like ancestral type things, or things like that, where it's like I think that a lot of people think so much about the future that they don't look into the past that often. And the past is it's history and stuff, but the fact that I don't know. I don't know, I'm going off a tangent, but it just reminds me of like how kind of Merced, like, I'm glad that when they brought back the Tioga, when they brought back El Capitan, when they brought back these things, they didn't go, well, let's just fucking make it all like
retro.
Let's do a Holiday Inn right here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's do you know what I mean? They like, we're like, we want to keep the same character that it used to have. And that does add a lot. Like, if it was just a normal hotel, like if it wasn't El Capitan, if it was just like a Holiday Inn right there, and it was a random apartment complex building without the character, it would just feel, I don't know, off. Or
yeah, I think Merced has a lot of opportunity to, in fact, touch on what you just said. Is, you know, don't try to rebuild something that was once great.
Yeah,
let's actually try to bring that back.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Merced has been around for so long.
Duffy, check out when Merced was found. I think the mayor said 1876 or 72.
1872. Wow.
Well, look up like
and it was named. It was a Huffman that founded Merced.
Huffman,
and that name is still in town today.
Really?
Yeah.
Huffman.
Yep.
Oh, maybe he was wrong.
1880. Well, sorry. No. But dang, but when was what was the, try to figure out if the tower was first, Tioga was first, or El Capitan? Like what was the first like structure, like big structure built? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, out of all those, and there's
what's
a
your
lot
guess? What's your guess?
Tioga.
Tioga?
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go El Cap. I don't know just because.
I know Tioga's been a multitude of different.
Tioga
things.
used to have. Is that the one? No.
There was Castle Air Force Base actually rented the Tioga for a period of time. They had it as an interrogation camp. There's jail cells in the basement. And I spoke to the gentlemen who were working on the remodel, who said that there was 7, whether this is years, days, months, weeks, I don't know.
Yeah.
There was a tally of 7 carved into the wall of the jail cell at the basement. So I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
1872 is Tioga?
Yeah,
El Capitan.
Tioga is 1928.
Oh,
wow.
I just got
what about the theater?
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, wow. So El Capitan. And El Capitan, look, I believe like presidents and shit stayed there, right?
For sure. There's been.
Yeah. Try to look
I
at
think
look it up.
Kennedy stayed there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anything while
I
he's
believe
president was one
Kennedy
of his finals.
Stayed at the hotel. But you know,
Mm-hmm.
Castle Air Force Base was at one point one of the largest Air Force bases in the United States.
And so when that left, I mean, and that's kind of
when it left, it took the town with it.
Yeah,
I mean, that's where a lot of original Outwater residents,
Mm-hmm.
had their livelihoods invested in that military base. So,
damn.
I've always wanted to see something come out of that.
Well, that's what I was happy Blaker went there, and there are things that are like kind of going, but it's so big that they could definitely do something. One of my favorite things, because when I do photography and stuff, the abandoned buildings are they're great for photography, that you can be your creative yourself, you know what I mean? And one of my favorite things is going through those apartments, and it's like, I mean, it's like eerie, because I mean, people are just probably doing heroin and shit over there, but it's really cool to see, like, just kind of like society degrading, you know what I mean? As if like it was untouched for 100 years, basically.
Yeah.
Because when did Castle leave? When did the Air Force Base shut down?
I don't know.
And I wonder why they didn't choose to like imagine if it would just stayed open as like a small, you know what I mean? Like as like just like a base or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. What did it? 1993? 95. Really? So we were born.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Because like Ray Allen was born there, and somebody else too. I don't forget who.
Yeah, there was a lot that went down out there. And I don't know as much about Castle as I probably should.
Hey man, I don't know as much as I feel like I should if I have a whole podcast in the Central Valley. But
well, you're gonna learn a lot.
Yeah. You know, I'm really glad you brought this up.
Man,
that's wild.
You ever go? I mean, you've been out to like Schaefer Bridge.
Yeah, Schaefer Bridge. Yeah, and so Schaefer Bridge basically in Winton. You take what is that? what's the one that you take all the way down?
Snelling Highway, and then you turn on to, was that Looney Road?
Yeah, I don't
Something like that.
Yeah. No, right there. Yeah, and dude, so yeah, there's Schaefer Bridge. I'm trying to figure out, what, Oakdale Road, right? It's
Oakdale Road.
That's what it is. I was gonna say, yeah, it's right off of Oakdale Road. There's that one, and there's a couple other bridges like this too. I mean, all throughout the valley, there's kind of little hidden gems like this everywhere.
Yeah.
And this one was really fun. I used to always go there in high school and just chill there.
Yeah, it's an enjoyable spot, and in fact, this is now you won't be able to fact check me on this, but I've actually heard of cars being buried under the bridge.
I'm sure.
There was a series of thefts, and the old folktale is that they were all buried out there, right? And so I don't know if it's true. That's just another, small town story.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, oh yeah, I heard.
Well, it's like the Witch's Tower in Yosemite Lake. It's so weird that even is a thing. And Duffy, look, when was that built?
Yeah, that.
You know anything about that?
That's an old tower. I grew up climbing around the gate, jumping off that thing. We were lucky to. Everyone was always like, "Oh, Lake Yosemite is so disgusting."
Dude,
and
even still, I went paddleboarding last summer, I think, and it was fucking fun. And like, honestly, I felt like it was cleaner than like McClure and Don Pedro, only because it's not as hot. Like it's really not as hot compared to those lakes.
Once people realize they bathe in recycled wastewater, I mean, come on, what do you can't escape this. Lifestyle of
exactly.
At some point you almost have to embrace it and allow it to build up your immunity.
Yeah, exactly. You can't like be Bubble Boy. You know what I mean?
No, everything is contaminated.
1909 it was built, and I can't read that, but
so
good.
Given that we haven't had very much rainwater in the last 2 years, I would, and I haven't been up to the lakes yet.
For this year, yeah.
But I would assume that we will experience another year where the tunnels are exposed in Lake McClure. I don't know if either of you guys have seen the tunnels.
Let's go. Let's talk about some tunnels.
Lake McClure used to be a town until they built the dam.
And then did the town get flooded?
Built the water on top of the dam. I mean, they flooded the town out.
Wow.
But both McClure and Don Pedro are man-made lakes that included full civilizations prior to damming the water. But
I think I have seen these tunnels.
Yeah, I've been through these. I've taken a boat through one side of the mountain, came out the other.
And so the water level was just perfect that you could.
Perfect.
Was it like a little fishing boat?
No.
Like a boat?
It was like an MB. I was at a. Fuck. Yeah, I was at a.
How big are those tunnels then?
No, they're massive. They're big
you
enough
have lights on that boat.
Put a train through it. Yeah.
Did it used to be a train tunnel?
Those are train tunnels.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
That's cool shit.
Yeah, those are them. They're all over. And at Don Pedro, when the water gets low enough, all of the old gold mines start popping up on the shores.
Really?
And they're massive concrete facilities. And I don't remember what year it was, but, we were able to walk through this whole elaborate cement building structure that was an old gold mine at Don Pedro. And the only reason they're exposed now
is because of the droughts,
because of the droughts. And
because they're obviously not meant for people to.
No, and not only that, but like, you ask your dad, when he was younger, like those things never got exposed because they always got a lot more rainfall and they had a larger snowpack. So that's the gold mine in Don Pedro, right?
Really?
There. Yeah.
That's wild.
So I would be willing to bet that this summer it's going to be exposed, but it almost looks like an Egyptian.
Yeah.
Freaking,
that looks like it's like building of a pyramid or something.
Yeah.
And Duffy, look up when the Don Pedro gold mine was going on. Like, or try to find when the lakes were built.
I think that lake is like between 5 million and 10 million acre feet of water.
Fuck, really?
So an acre foot is basically 1 acre times a foot. So you're talking,
gotcha. One up and then an acre and then one up and then an acre.
That's how they measure water.
Really?
Yeah. So when a farmer is like, oh, I need to irrigate, they're putting in a request to purchase, 2 inches acre foot or a foot, an acre foot. And it's all measured through acre feet, but it's sold through the lakes. So like Don Pedro is servicing Turlock irrigation districts.
Yeah. Well, one of the fun facts, but interesting fact is like Hetch Hetchy. Like Hetch Hetchy is like, it's in Yosemite National Park, but the water gets, it goes to San Francisco, right? Isn't that San Francisco's drinking water? Yeah. And it's crazy that something that's like in Yosemite National Park is getting straight funneled basically to San Francisco.
Yeah. The water that you pass when you're on your way to the coast and you go through Los Banos, and you have the San Luis Reservoir.
Yeah,
all that water,
right there.
all that water is shipped to LA.
That's
where
why.
60% of it is used for lawns.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Dude, human beings are like...
look, like, if you're growing food, that water needs to be purchased by farmers. And if you're saying that cities are putting that water on lawns, then you're going to need to rip a page out of New Mexico's playbook and start requiring some drought-resistant landscaping, because this is just insane.
Yeah, dude, so New Mexico has laws about that?
Yeah.
Dude, and it's like, especially now, especially when...
You can't water a lawn in New Mexico. I mean, and we live in anything getting less than 8 inches of rain is considered a desert.
Yeah, and how much rain have we even had this year? 5 inches, something like that?
Yeah, we're a desert.
That's so wild. And then, dude, I just listened to this dude on Joe Rogan, Sad Guru. And did you listen to that one?
Yeah.
Have you heard it? Yeah, all about the soil and everything, and how, I mean, well, the fact that stuck out to me the most was like, if you take an orange from the 1920s and an orange from now, you have to eat 8 oranges grown today to get the same amount of calcium and everything that are in that orange that was grown in the 1920s. And it's like, people aren't seeing like...
Yeah, and it's really hard to... I mean, look, I'm going to say that's hard to prove because he doesn't have an orange from the 1920s to test.
Yeah, I got you.
And breeding has come so far.
Yeah.
And, when you're breeding genetics in all breeders and dogs and vegetables and cannabis know this, that you can get looks or you can get taste. And you can get taste... I mean, it's like literally one or the other. Like,
really?
When it comes to breeding, to be able to have the best of both worlds is few and far between. It's so hard. So a lot of times what you get in the commercialization of products is that they're looking for yield and beauty. And, flavors like there, but like that's why a fruit out of the field is better, Not only that, but like a lot of stuff too is shipped so early on.
Yeah, they pick it when they're green, right?
You have to do it scale.
To do what? Yeah, exactly. But that's like tomatoes, dude. I used to go with my grandpa when I was little, and we go just get because he lives like out by the Scotos, and so he'd always be like, oh, like let's go pick some tomatoes because he was good friends with them, and we go do it, and like I had never tasted like, or I just had the specific memory of going there and like when a tomato's fully ripe, like and having it, like it tastes so much, like it just tastes really good compared to like if I'm buying a 10-pack of tomatoes in a store in a plastic bag. You know what I mean?
I mean, that's because around here we pick them green and we put them on a truck pink and we ship them to the East Coast and then they're red there. So you lose a lot of the sugar contents, and
because it looks like a tomato, it just doesn't.
But yeah, nobody can do that. I mean, if you're talking about feeding,
300 million people,
then
or whatever,
you're gonna, you have to give and take some things.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they've like, I mean, the whole GMO thing is such a misconcepted topic that, it's hard to determine whether something's actually genetically modified or cross-pollinated. Like what, so like Roundup Ready corn and Roundup Ready cotton was invented on accident.
Really?
Yeah. It was a fungus or a mold that they noticed was, that the glucophosphate and the Roundup couldn't kill. So what they did was they took the mold or the fungi, encoded it on a bullet, and shot a field of corn, and then through the wound, right?
Understood how to
the passage of the bullet containing the fungi left residue on the plant, and when the plant regrew, they then bred that plant back, and it had the resilience
of
to the Roundup.
Yeah, right.
So then they bred forward from there.
Yeah.
But had they not stumbled upon that accidentally, and this is I'm not making this up.
No, I believe you. You.
But
and so with that being said, though, so let's say that happened so long ago, what is is there any type of because now, right, plants are still adapting to the new Roundup that's getting sprayed on it, kind of?
Every year it's getting more, either it's building a tolerance.
Yeah.
Similar to if you took antibiotics every day, amoxicillin wouldn't work one day. You're going to be... So it's the same thing.
People who start taking ibuprofen, 2 ibuprofen.
Yeah, growers, they're
mixing
their labels and using this one year and this the next year
to try to offset
the
that's very interesting.
But I've always heard that nutrient argument, but have always found it very hard to believe, considering they didn't.
Where's the
test from the 1920s?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying.
And then you could be like, hey, people were a lot smaller in the 1920s.
Because there could be somebody taking a position against modern technology. And look, all these things, realistically, a farmer isn't going to collect all these seeds and replant them anyway to save money.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. But
it's like one mother plant, right? I mean, that's what nurseries are, right?
Yeah.
And so nurseries are giving you your plants, and I wonder, where do the nurseries get their fucking or do they just have?
They buy seeds, and then they're contracted to grow those seeds by whoever will be planting those seeds. But this has all been established and worked through for 100 years, but the cannabis industry is just now, because you can't get a federal trademark, you can't get a federal patent on cannabis genetics. So it's going to be so interesting to see what happens when you've got all these guys who are like, oh yeah, I crossed, gelato and cookies and this and that, and it's mine, and it's not. Because how do you someone someday is gonna be like, no, I actually own all that.
Yeah.
How did you start growing my genetics?
Yeah.
Because right now, a farmer can't just be like, oh, I got this. They're either paying the seed company or they're paying a royalty or that company's paying the owner of the patent a royalty on the seed. So it's been interesting. Some of my partners and I have been working on this blockchain project that actually...
I was going to ask if you're into crypto at all or anything like that.
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. Let's dive in, huh?
And basically using the blockchain as a way to establish, just similar to an NFT, right? Everything's going to be digitized in ownership.
Yeah.
So, you've got a lot of, herbariums, right? An herbarium is like a library of seeds. And one way, they could work around the federal trademark is by being like, oh, well, it's on the blockchain for life. So I did it and here's the timestamp, right? So that's the kind of maneuver.
That's interesting.
But yeah.
Are a lot of people in the cannabis industry kind of going towards that?
Yeah.
Because it's
and they're using Hedera Hashgraph.
And what is that?
Hedera Hashgraph is it's a crypto asset. It's native blockchains, HBAR, and they're in affiliation with, it's HEDRA. So you can buy H-bar
Is it
as
so
a
is
digital asset,
is
trade it, or you can utilize the utility of the blockchain.
Okay. And okay, so remind me again, so I know for like NFTs, the blockchain, like you use it to notarize or basically make it that this is like the only NFT of that or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I could basically take your podcast right now, put it like not as an NFT, but like this is where the actual, like obviously a donkey isn't in my opinion very valuable.
Yeah.
What's valuable is the utility and the technology. So
okay, gotcha.
like let's say you wanted to charge somebody to listen to your podcast, right? And you don't want anybody to listen to it for free over and over. I mean, so this is a way to pre-program a royalty into your work that anytime it's either listened to,
streamed,
exchanged,
or
sent, whatever, like, and I'm not talking like you charge a lot. This is like micropayments. I think where you see crypto actually explode and building the internet of value is like, look, you can charge somebody a fraction of a penny every listen. You know, what's that do to somebody's bottom line? Not much, but like most of the content online is free, and that's going to change very soon.
Really?
I mean, in a lot of subscription-based programs, and like, how do you actually control these built-in smart contracts and mechanisms that either collect payment
or data
on demand or data? And you're going to see it arise through this whole Web3. And I've got I'm not a financial advisor. This isn't financial advice. Anything that I say, please, do your own research. But, H-bar, XRP, XDC,
Hey, did we buy
DAG. XRP is the native asset that Ripple uses for enterprise use, but XRP and Ripple are not.
And so, okay,
the same thing.
So kind of explain to me when you're saying like some people buy into like these coins and stuff like that, and then there's other things that are like you can use these to do things. So is the cannabis using it as some type of form of banking?
No, cannabis has banks. But the difference is they're not like FDIC Fed banks. They're California state credit unions and private banks. Most banks people use are private. They're not. They're a business. So, and if if that bank decides they want to deal with cannabis money, like they can. But most aren't there yet. But where the crypto utilities is really going to come in my opinion, is like you probably hear all types of speculation, stuff like that. But truly, the fastest way to move money today is still to take some dollars, get on an airplane, and fly it to another country. Because by the time it actually settles, you will have already landed. I mean, you may see this interface transaction.
It's always like a 12-hour.
But that's not a settled transaction. Like,
it's like a pending transaction.
You've got exchange rates and much more. Like they say, the volatility. Well, there's more volatility in a 48-hour transaction close than there is a 2-second crypto close on a transaction. And so my thing is like, and again, everybody do your own research, but if you're going to research any of this stuff, research ISO 222 compliant crypto assets, because what's going to squash 99% of this whole space is regulation. Whether people want to believe it or not, the government isn't going to just say like, hey, you guys can do whatever you want. No. So ISO 222 is a compliant messaging system with central banks that is basically the first step in replacing SWIFT.
And what is SWIFT?
SWIFT is the mechanism used to send money cross borders
right now
around the world right now.
Gotcha.
And
so this is going to replace it, you said? You're betting?
I'm speculating that
sorry.
yes, this is
You're like, I'm
already
not
it's
saying.
already in motion.
Yeah.
I mean,
So you can already use it for other countries and stuff if you're doing something?
you can do all this stuff everywhere. The only place that hasn't quite yet got on board, and they have, but behind closed doors, is the United States.
Really?
And what you're gonna see, and you're already seeing it in the news with this whole Ukraine and Russia stuff, is there's countries actually ditching the dollar as a reserve currency. You know, the U.S. dollar is the world's reserve currency. It's what oil is priced in. It's what gold is priced in. And if all these nations decide they're going to price it in their own currencies, then the U.S. is going to lose their stronghold as like the number one.
Yeah.
You know, so what's happening though is you're seeing a lot of countries start partnering with companies like Ripple, who are enabling this new era of finance, which is allowing money to move instantaneously at fractions of a penny. And what I mean by that is like somebody, you know, anything less than $52 million is considered a micropayment.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
Anything less than $52 million is a micropayment. So this isn't like, the odds are you're going to still use US dollar forever.
Yeah.
Right? But like on the back end of like international trade, like ideally you would take XRP, you would back it with gold, and you would make it interoperable. It already is interoperable, but it would be
what is interoperable?
It means it can change into anything.
Really? Oh, any type of currency.
You could go from US dollars. So theoretically, Ripple would be a new central bank. XRP would be the asset bridge, and you'd go from US dollars to yuan in 2 seconds. It'd go from USD, XRP, yuan, rather than going from US dollars, hitting a clearinghouse 4 days later, and then it, you know, so all that's out the door, and
it's the new middleman, basically.
Literally those, like I'm huge on XRP. XDC's great. Algorand is massive for you know, smart contracts.
And so are all
blockchains.
these kind of doing that differently?
No, they're all serving a different purpose. And where you're going to see the huge, like crypto's small.
Yeah.
Like the entire crypto market cap is worth 1.7 trillion right now. That's a lot of money. But when you talk about the equities market and global trade, you're talking about quadrillions. Like, and I'm talking like $800 quadrillion type numbers, right? So, and that's every country in the world.
And people want
GDP.
And people want a stable, like, right? That's where
they don't want one nation having the ability to manipulate their currency to either get more
especially
or less
if that
of another
country is just
commodity, right?
out.
So, like, if we just print a bunch of money, right?
COVID.
What that does to the debt that other countries own is it makes it you know, we can manipulate, you know, and this is not just us, and
there's other big.
This is just how global economics
Yeah.
works. Like it's not. It's really a nonpartisan thing, you know. But yeah, I love Algorand. I love DAG, DAG. And they're really, you know, like 3.0 blockchains. You had Bitcoin, was, you know, obviously the first big deal. But you know, it sucks. Like, I don't know if there's any users or listeners out there who have actually sent Bitcoin around and done it. But I mean, if you move Bitcoin from a exchange to a cold wallet, it's going to take an hour. And in between that time, you're going to be like looking at the blockchain, like, how much longer until somebody approves this? Because it's proof of work. Like, in order for a transaction to be validated, a party has to solve a math problem. Like, and that's what they mean by mining.
Exactly. And then mining, the whole thing is that, like, it actually uses a lot of energy, right?
Well, yeah. So like what you're starting to see now is a big, And that's the other thing about those ISO compliant coins are all carbon neutral. So you're going to see a huge push.
I saw that was on it. It was like carbon neutral. And so what is the difference between those two?
Well, these are distributed ledger technologies. So you've got a different, basically, clearing mechanism than you would with Bitcoin. And Bitcoin requires proof of work, and proof of work requires large hashing power, and like they're running Bitcoin mines off like dams and oil rigs. And so, I mean, in theory, like if you're like, all right, Bitcoin is, 1% of total GDP.
Yeah.
And we're using this much power. What does it look like at 100%?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. The planet would be glowing red.
Yeah. It's like not sustainable that way.
So, I mean, once...
And then these new ones, so these other ones are
they're pre-mined, so they have a different technology,
like algorithm kinda,
people are gonna think I'm a conspiracy theorist, but they can do their own homework, and you can look this up too. But
I've been waiting for a guest like you, man. Let's go.
XRP and Bitcoin were founded on the same IP address in Phoenix, Arizona.
No fucking way.
And yeah. They've already done trace that.
The same exact
same assets.
So same
IP address. So the same guy who found Bitcoin.
I'm saying same guy, right?
Founded XRP. And BTC actually stands.
What does it stand for?
Beta test coin.
So it's like, we'll put this one out there, see how it does. It's the beta of the
horse.
Yeah, exactly. Trojan horse.
Yeah. So you're going to see central bank digital currencies roll out, right? Where the Fed will issue
no way.
Yeah,
Sick,
a digital
dude.
dollar, right? That's and they have to bring crisis to in order to bring in these adoptions, things can't be, oh, it's great. Everyone thinks it's great. Well, how are we going to get them to change, right? So you're going to start seeing some interesting things go on with the economy. And the answer at the end of the day is going to be liquidity. And that's the one thing that Ripple specializes in, is providing on-demand liquidity. And what I mean by liquidity is like, even if you had $50 billion, you have to take it from somewhere and send it somewhere. And just that motion rocks the boat so much. Like, this company is plugging in with every nation state on the planet
individually
to leverage XRP as their bridge asset. So if a country issues a central bank digital currency and they're going to do trade with another country, there's got to be some type of way to make that trade. And the way to level the playing field on a global perspective would be to go back to gold and then back gold with a digital asset bridge. And so
is the idea here, sorry, let me just try to understand, is it like, so right now we're kind of saying that the U.S. is controlling a lot of other people's markets and things like that, but with this Ripple thing, it's more like, hey, we're going to make your money worth a little more, kind of?
Well, so XRP is a deflationary asset, right? So the supply is already there.
Yeah.
And you can't make any more. So in every transaction, a lot of cryptos build in a burn, which means that if I pay Duffy, so much of that transaction will be burnt and the supply will be less. So in nature, as, company or transactions and money starts being sent through this distributed ledger, more of the supply gets burnt off, therefore raising that price. You can buy XRP right now on Uphold, which is in the App Store, and KuCoin, which is also in the App Store. You can buy XRP with a debit card on Uphold. On KuCoin, you would have to send Bitcoin or Ethereum or whatever you want, and then make the swap.
You have to get those as your currency and then buy it with that.
Yeah, but I mean, if people, not financial advice, but
And KuCoin's kind of like, is it kind of like a Coinbase?
KuCoin is a South Korean exchange. This is
but
what,
like Coinbase, like I mean, in the sense that you can go
Coinbase,
buy different coins and things like that.
So what's going on in the United States right now, though, is the SEC, the Securities Exchange Commission, is currently suing Ripple Labs for the selling of unregistered securities dating back 10 years.
And it's been has it been around that long?
Yeah, it's been around 13 years.
And do we know who created this? Like, no,
we do know who created XRP, and I think I have a speculation as to who participated in the creation of Bitcoin. It would be David Schwartz, who is currently the CTO of Ripple Labs. He actually lives in Murphy's.
No fucking way.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah.
Try to get that guy on the podcast.
Yeah. Good luck.
Yeah. I know.
So he worked at the NSA.
This guy?
Yes. He worked at the NSA. He's co-creator of the XRP ledger. So that IP address that I was discussing earlier has been traced back to a potential NSA facility in Arizona.
Really?
Yeah. So David Schwartz actually has a 1989 federal trademark on distributed ledgers as well. So he is,
that's what you're saying. How some of this shit's ran off ledgers, right?
Oh, it's all ledgers. It's a transparent
and
ledger.
So, what exactly is a ledger?
Well, a ledger is an accounting tool. So it'd be like if you had a piece of paper divided by two. And on one side you have the issuer, and the other side you have the acceptor. You would basically move the account, from one side to the other, and that's a ledger. Literally, that's it.
Really?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, kind of like the middleman, like
yeah. So the serious.
Oh, just like that shit in accounting.
Yeah,
that's a ledger.
That's it.
Okay, I remember taking accounting classes.
Yeah,
doing that.
Literally it. Debit and crediting.
I already knew what a ledger is. That's crazy.
And the big issue that everybody had before this dude came along was like, well, if we make a digital dollar, how do you not copy and paste another digital dollar?
Yeah. He's the one who thought
he solved
that part of
the
it.
equation to not, to basically build a, internet of value that you can't
can measure,
copy,
right?
And you can measure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why, let's say that's why that Bitcoin, there's a finite number, right?
Right.
Ripple, there's a finite number. And that's why their values can keep going up, because if more people are kind of using it or investing in it, right?
And I don't just like crypto. I am a big stock market guy. I love the equities markets.
Yeah.
And I still think, traditionally, anybody in their 20s should be taking any spare income they have or can scrap up. If you're, taking coins to a Coinstar, you should be investing that money. We've seen my favorite. I mean, it's been a hard year.
Yeah.
Like we went from, massive valuations in the stock market and then got crushed by 85% pullbacks in some companies because, the inflationary climate and raising of interest rates. But when companies are basing their valuation off future revenues and they're not profitable yet, that future money to borrow becomes more expensive.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So you tend to see those are the companies that sell off first in the markets. But, you're not going to get explosive growth, owning AT&T.
Yeah.
Don't listen to your, whoever. But
what's funny
as a young guy, you want hyper accelerated growth.
Yeah.
And I'm talking like disruptors, like Fiverr.
Yeah.
Like, and that stock's on its knees, right? He rallied from like $30 to 200 all the way back to like, I don't know where it's at, 65. But I use it all the time. And it's a freelancing app, and they're growing.
Yeah.
They're growing revenues 25% quarter over quarter, and that's like compounding at its finest.
No, yeah, Duffy has a Fiverr. I mean,
again, I don't want somebody to buy this and lose
exactly.
their ass.
No, but you're just using it as an example.
But if you are young, and I mean young, like 35 and
or younger,
younger,
yeah,
you should be buying. You should shoot to own 20 of these companies.
Yeah,
and I recommend starting with the Motley Fool, and it's a subscription service. Dave Gardner, the Motley Fool. They put out monthly.
Are they a fan of Motley Crue or what?
No, they got a really good track record that
okay.
is, so Stock Advisor returns 493%. And they put out companies that they're buying, right?
Yeah.
Like, this isn't financial advice, but these are the companies we're buying, and this is why. And this is our track record.
And if you want to, you can, kind of, right?
Exactly. So again, yeah, like, cumulative growth on a $10,000 investment. You're talking 6-figure returns just being a subscriber to this thing and doing what they do. And I'm not saying you follow what investors do, but like, if you know nothing right now, and I had to advise someone like, hey, and you want to learn?
Yeah. It's a good place to start.
Good place to start.
Yeah.
And watch their YouTube videos. But I mean, Fiverr to talk about one, but I mean, they're recommending, all types of companies. And for me, I mean, when you're looking at markets and you're young, the day-to-day volatility means nothing. Like 99% of it means absolutely nothing, because you can't buy something or invest in something you wouldn't own for 5 years. Like, I'm sorry. Like, you're going to get caught in volatility in between now and then. And so if you have a 25-year time horizon and you're trying to build up a nice retirement account, you need to take these asymmetrical risks that are they're not all going to hit, but 1 or 2 might change my freaking life.
Yeah.
Those are all things that I'm like, you have to.
Especially while you're young too. I mean, in the sense, like you're saying, you're like, if you're over 35, then go with the safe game, because
safe to. I mean, I was even 35's young.
Yeah, no,
because most people are like
the day. I feel like everyone's getting younger in the sense of like, the 30-year-olds today, basically us, are not doing what the 30-year-olds did 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of like a whole different.
I mean, we live in the era of information. So like, I don't know, you guys wearing Crocs right now, but I love my Crocs, and Crocs are a publicly traded company that have outperformed the market over the last 5 years.
Dude, I would never have thought 10 years ago that Crocs were going to be like, I don't have a pair, but let me tell you what my friends do. And when I wear them, I'm like, man, these are so fucking comfortable. And now the kids, because my nieces and nephews wear them, and the kids are doing whatever they call the things that they put on their Crocs.
Yeah,
they're like our generation. You remember what do they call jewel bracelets? You guys remember that shit? Whatever.
I mean, the easiest way, and I'm trying to add value. I don't want to make any recommendations to anybody, but the easiest way to invest is start with what you know. Like, you use Spotify a lot.
Yeah. You
use Shopify a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You probably shop on Amazon. You have an Apple iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
You use Microsoft web browser or email.
Or, Google or whatever.
You use Zoom.
Yeah.
You ever use Teledoc?
Mm-hmm.
These are all questions, like, once you start asking yourself.
And these are all publicly traded companies?
All of them. Yeah. And even if you don't know, a Google search will tell you.
Yeah.
But see, on the 5-year, you see, if you take it to a 1-year chart, you've got a big retracement, and most charts look like that because when they started hiking interest rates at the Fed level, you started seeing the growth market pull back, and money started rotating from tech to oil.
Oh.
And commodities.
And so it went from tech to oil?
Yeah. It does in inflationary climates.
Really?
Yeah.
And why? Just because oil has a market, or
it's one of those
value,
things
I
that's
guess?
profitable too. It's like, it's a dependency and a depression proof asset, right? And I mean, let's face it, we live on the petrodollar.
Yeah.
Our dollars are backed by oil and nuclear bombs.
Yeah, that's true.
And if you have a problem with it, then I don't know what to tell you. But, but there's a history of that stuff, and I don't need to go into it, but and like, I know a lot of people are all crazy on the Celsius drinks right now. You ever heard of
Celsius?
I've
heard of those. I've seen them too.
That's another publicly traded company that's just, it's practically 10 bagged over a 3-4 year period. And I'm just saying, like, if there's ever a product that you are like, oh, this is bomb.
Mm-hmm.
You know when you know you're onto something.
Yeah.
Right. And
It's your intuition.
And what I'm trying to do is to turn that trigger on to people like, oh, I don't need to own it, but I know there's a way to make money off it.
Yeah.
And that right here is going to be whether I'm buying 10 shares or 1,000 shares, right? I mean, I know that Celsius I was just using that because I'm trying to bring in something that most maybe a listener might be familiar with and you know.
Well, it's like it's interesting because like when I worked at Starbucks gives their employees shares. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, well, no, and that's the only time I really ever thought about the stock market in the sense of like, it gave me a reason to go like, oh, I'm kind of curious on what's going on.
Yeah. I mean, I have a bias in a lot of companies. Like I don't own Celsius. I was just using it as an example.
But okay, is this that 1 year to date? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks similar, just like the other one, right?
Head and shoulders. I'm looking at like long term. So I can basically tell you right now, AI, genetic editing,
things of the future, kind of basically.
robotics.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not talking just robots, like robots, but like UiPath to software robotics, where you're, data entry. It's just like limitless,
Mhm.
right? And so we're gonna go into an era where it's like unrecognizable.
Yeah.
I think.
Dude. That's wild. This is so wild.
But like the easiest thing to do is to and like I like looking at companies that like are almost profitable, like SoFi and Palantir, and companies I believe are like on the edge of serious disruption.
Yeah.
Like Palantir is a software AI company that is contracted by the US military that is using technology we won't know about for another 5 years.
And so is that kind of like drones were used a long time ago and we didn't know about them?
This is the software that was used to track Osama bin Laden. And they can basically take data entry, they take big data and aggregate it and track it. And I mean, that's one aspect. But like they could take a Boeing airplane and they could say, this is the flight path and this and that. And using our AI, we can either come up with a whole different route that saves money, or we can tell you every possible outcome if this happens or that happens.
Really?
So if you're a business and you have Palantir's, software, you can implement any data point and be like, well, what if this plays out? And then it will literally read the future. It can populate all the data, take in all the points, and then take the probability in most likely outcome of every single scenario. So when the U.S. military is like...
And this is what they're using right now?
Yeah. And they're like, oh, we're going to do this. Like, you better believe they have everything.
Palantir, is that how you say it?
Yeah. And it was founded by Alex Karp and Peter Thiel. And what I like is I take visionary and investors like Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel...
That sounds familiar.
He co-founded PayPal with Elon Musk.
Yeah, okay, gotcha.
And then they sold it to eBay. And then he's him and Elon Musk basically have a split on SpaceX. They founded SpaceX together. But they've been partners. He was, one of the co-founders or main investors of Facebook.
Really?
Massive companies. And
it's like this guy's been ahead a lot. I mean, in the sense of
you can basically invest in their coattails, And I like taking visionary guys and be like, oh, this is
that makes
what
sense.
They're doing, and this is why, and then the PayPal thing, he ends up having a lot to do with Ripple as well. So there's this huge loop, and he's one of the major investors in the startup of Ripple, and all these digital payments and that internet of value. but it's massive, dude. It's like, you could be here in Merced right now and be doing so much online. It's like,
dude,
the
that's
sky is the limit.
Yeah, that's so wild, and it's so young too, huh? Like, I mean, in the very beginning, that's kind of what you're saying. You're like, it's a 1 point something trillion, right now, or what is it?
Oh, okay. So sorry, I got off topic there. The crypto market cap is 1.7 trillion. The IRS, right? It's almost tax day.
Yeah.
The IRS
Happy tax day.
has a estimated market cap of the entire crypto space being at 10 trillion just 3 years from now. So that's over 1,000% return
or
on any asset. I mean, so you can kind of see, and I like to okay, the puck is probably going this direction, right? Get in front of it.
Yeah.
And
know where it's
I
gonna
think
land.
that those ISO compliant crypto assets, and
what's ISO compliant again? Sorry.
it's a messaging system for
this
banks,
one. Sorry,
and,
you got you.
And it's attached to the asset.
Yeah,
itself.
no, got you. Sorry, I just had to refresh my memory.
Yeah, but I mean, dude, it's endless. Like, so at work you use DocuSign a lot. Like, DocuSign just got hammered on the market like massively, and that's good because if it didn't, you and I would never be able to buy it at a bargain because you don't buy overvalued assets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The idea is to get a good deal and buy low, sell high.
And
but 10 years from now, I can't tell you where the price is going to be tomorrow, but I can tell you on a probability. Like if you took the last 99 years of market returns, that you can pretty much plug in future returns based on historic returns.
Damn.
If I learned anything in college, and I didn't learn much at all.
I'm right there with you, man.
It was the future value equation. I could tell you at this much money compounded by this rate of return for this period of time will give me X. That's all you need to know. Future values. Future value equals present value.
Parenthesis 1 plus return, right?
Yeah.
And then what's the end?
The end would be the periods of time.
Number of periods interact.
Yeah.
Man.
So that right there, like if you were, I'm going to put $10,000 in an interest-bearing account, whether that be a publicly traded company, and it compounds at 25% annually, this equation will tell you what that will equal in 30 years.
That's so wild.
And honestly, this equation will blow most people's brains out of their head. When you talk about future values, you put 10 grand in at a rate of return of I'm just going to say 12%. By the time you retire, you'll be a millionaire.
Yeah.
Just leave it as is. And those are minimal returns.
Yeah.
You want to be adding to that every month, ideally.
Yeah, so there's some bank accounts where like there's the entrance bank accounts and stuff like that.
Interest-bearing accounts are a joke.
And so, but
you're lending your money out for free.
And then on the hopes that they're going to match you or something like that.
They pay you 0.25% to just have your money there.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can buy just about any broad-based index fund that's like practically non-volatile and get 5% return.
That's better than
way better. That's way better.
That's fucking.
And so the banks don't want people to know that. But I mean, successful people don't have checking and savings accounts.
That's true.
Like, I mean,
I know
rich,
yeah.
No, they have assets that pay cash flow.
Yeah, that's true, huh?
Yeah.
Man.
And it could be whatever. I'm working on a company right now, and I'll come back on and we can talk about it. But it's going to make buying farmland accessible to anybody. And there'll be a minimum requirement of 10,000. You'll be able to own a ranch.
Really?
Yeah.
And is that?
And we'll provide dividend returns and do everything.
Damn, really?
Yeah, I'm gonna build a crowd-funded platform that takes global and I can take a property here and divide it up into 500 shares and then make a tenancy in common with each deal and pay a return based on either rent or cash flow of the crop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's wild. And so how, like, you graduate college and were you kind of thinking of doing like the normal route of things, or not normal route? Did you have like a normal job kind of first, and then you're kind of like how'd you get into like all of this stuff? You know what I mean? Just by being curious and learning?
Oh, even through college, I was like, growing weed and
Mm-hmm.
and always on doing something. And
Just having side things.
I just, I've got serious, I guess it would be ADHD. I just
Yeah.
can't do the
Nothing.
Like, I'm not going to, sit around and waste time,
Yeah.
And I feel like a lot of people are like that too.
Mm-hmm.
But to be honest, I never knew. I knew kind of where I wanted to end up, but you never know the path that'll get you there. You just kind of roll with the punches and go. But
I mean, that's like this podcast, man.
Yeah.
It's like I didn't really know what I was getting into when I started it. And like now we're 50 something episodes into this. And it's more than I ever thought it would be, honestly, in the sense of like, I don't know. I didn't know what I was doing. Like, I was just kind of like, I'm just going to do what I want to do and what I'm passionate about. And like for a long time in my life, it was like I went to college and I was going to be like an archaeology major, anthropology major, history major, business major, and then sustainability and business major. And then it was like, okay, fuck all this. What's the quickest way I can graduate? Because obviously I don't really know what I want to do, but I just want to got you.
yeah,
And but yeah, and then like what I ended up doing is as soon as I graduate college, I kind of think like, what the fuck do I want to do in my life? And my thought was like, well, what I wanted to do when I was a senior in high school, which was like do something with film and photography. And I mean I was fucking like 26, 27, like just starting out trying to learn about it, and like so much doubt in my mind in the sense, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, like I kind of think that our generation, it's like it becomes more apparent of like our parents' generation was like was like more than 9 to 5 of let me just get something with benefits. I'm gonna work here for 40 years and then get a good retirement or whatever. Where I feel like now it's like I looked at my life and I was like, what the fuck do I want to do? You know what I mean? And then for a long time you're afraid of what people may think of you, or afraid of like other people's input and stuff like that. But as soon as I started doing what I wanted to do with my life, like better things started happening in my life, basically. And it was just like one of those things where it's like, if you put energy and you're passionate about it, yeah, you may not be working 9 to 5 and you may be working a 9 to 9 some days. But at the end of the day, if you're doing what you want to do, like then work that 9 to 9. You know what I mean? Because I feel like that's what I'm doing now, and I fucking love it. You know what I mean?
It's way better. You're getting gratification out of what you're doing, and that's the biggest thing. You don't want to, and money's, I guess, cool, but
Money comes and goes.
it does, and it's like, it really doesn't even matter. Like, if you put everything on the grand scheme of things, it's like that's not.
Yeah, exactly.
And way too much else out there.
Exactly. And that's why I'm saying, like, if you live in a we're like it's cool making a lot of money and everything like that, but sometimes it's fun just going to the river with your friends. Sometimes it's fun going to Diana Falls. Not sometimes, more often than not, it's more fun having that moment with your friends, doing something, or living in the moment and actually appreciating it. And that's something that's hard to do, because sometimes you can just get in the routine of like, oh, I'm going to go do this, or I got a business meeting or something like that. And it's like, no, it's like, there's always opportunity for growth, an opportunity to connect with people, an opportunity to just grow yourself, basically. And I feel like that's a lot of thing that people look past a lot of times.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean,
Man.
I don't know if there's anything else.
No, dude, honestly, this is like, thank you for coming on, because this is like honestly one of my favorite podcasts. One, it's really cool to have somebody look up stuff, because
that was huge.
Shout out
Duffy.
Dude, that was so huge, because like, he just like, it just like kept us to be like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I didn't
Like,
want to get too far out.
But you pin back
Yeah.
and forth on things, and then it's like he's looking up something, and then it's like reminding me of something we talked about earlier, or things like that. And I've always wanted to have like somebody in here to look up
Yeah.
stuff, because my problem is that when someone's talking to me, if I'm looking up something, they're like, "Is this guy paying attention to me?" You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that's why I had people that were supposed to come at 5. That's why I was like 5:30. That's the only reason I was on my phone for that little bit. But
Yeah,
no, but that just helps so much. And the fact that you came on here and you're like, hey, let's talk about like hidden gems. Let's talk about things in the area.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we talked about like things in Merced, right? But that's not like the things that we talked about in Merced happen in every single town all over the valley. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You have your own swimming holes. You have the own things close to us. I mean, if you're from Modesto to Madera, you have everything we talked about here. You know what I mean? But you go up to Sacramento and you go down to Bakersfield, they have their own type of things that we just talked about, their own swimming holes, their own things to do. And it's something that, like, I feel like not a lot of places can kind of relate. Like, I mean, all of LA is something, but like the Central Valley is one thing that, like, you know, if you're from the Central Valley, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People in LA are like, oh, I'm from this portion of LA. I'm from this portion, or you know what I mean? Where it's like here, it's like, it's like someone asks you where you're from. You're like Merced. They're like, oh, I don't know where there is. You're like Fresno. They're like, I don't know where there is. You're like Sacramento. You know what I mean, or whatever. But it's like you're using other valley towns. You're like, hey, somewhere in the Central Valley, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
I would rather be from here than LA. That's for
Oh,
sure.
yeah.
I mean, talk about messed up.
Dude, yeah, and work ethic and everything else, man.
Yeah.
What? Dude, I agree. Well, Josh, hey, thank you for being here.
Yeah,
I
thank
really
you.
appreciate it, man.
appreciate
I
having
really,
me.
really enjoyed this conversation. And yeah, we're definitely have to get you back on once you're done setting up that other thing.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, and then if you want to give your socials or store, or you know what, just how can people support you, man? I like what you do.
Yeah, my Instagram's just Josh_Rogina, ROGINA. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Yeah, reach out. you know.
Reach out, you guys. All right, Josh, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Micah.
Of course.
This is it. Real talk and whatnot.
Real talk. That's it.